Hey, it's John and Mike, brew-dudes.com. And we've got beers in front of us, as we typically do here on the whole program. But this is sort of the starting of wrapping up the Community Brew. We started this back in May. We had a recipe, we put it out there, we asked people if they wanted to brew it, they said yes. They gave us their email addresses and their addresses, and we matched people up to swap with themselves, and we swapped with some people. So right now we've swapped with two different guys. They sent us beers. Some are sort of like what we put out the recipe, and some are a little bit different. Dustin here, I think is pretty much the Brew Dude's best bitter recipe we put out there. And then Damien, who we've swapped with before, he did something a little bit different. He added some flaked maize to the recipe. So the Brew Dude's best bitter called for 95% English malt, pale English malt, and then 5% 60 Love caramel / crystal malt. We asked for a lot of EKG, East Kent Goldings hops. I think we gave some latitude. The choice of yeast. Yes. The big thing was you should probably use an English yeast. And then lastly, let's see if we can play around with water chemistry to get that minerally hoppy flavor into the beer. So, with that said, we had sent out an evaluation sheet so that we could have some consistency on how these beers were evaluated out there in the old community. So we're going to follow our own directive here and see if we can go through. So we'll go through both beers. Yep. We'll hit the high points of appearance, aroma, flavor, all the good things you should look at when you're evaluating beers. Right. Yes. So with appearance, this is Dustin's beer. It's a little bit darker than this one. Certainly this is, I'd say, amber. Mine's a little cloudy. I think I poured mine pretty hard. That's the first pour out of the bottle too. Yeah. And looking at this one, it's a little lighter. I'd say it's like, you know, like dark straw to like a little bit of copper. Yeah, I'd say this is more like light to medium copper. And then this one is more that light amber color. Yes. So Dustin's is more that amber, and Damien's got more. So of that according to the guidelines, right? Do these fit? The guidelines for appearance ask for a pale amber to medium copper color. So I mean, these are both in the ballpark. You know, you want good to brilliant clarity. Damien's beer is certainly very clear, and this one, Dustin's, is just slightly hazy. But certainly not necessarily out of style, and it could just be abusing the bottle a little bit more than we should have. It did get shipped over across the country. And the head can be fairly fine. It's white, off-white, but it's fairly thin. But that's because carbonation is usually a little bit lower in a pale ale, and a British pale ale type of style. So that's definitely true. We're on point for both of those. Okay. All right, so let's move on to aroma. All right, let's take a sniff. Tell me what you get, and I'll tell the good people at home about aroma. So in this style, the aroma is usually a low to moderate malt aroma. You're going to get aspects of caramel. You get aspects of a bready or a biscuit note. Sometimes a light toast isn't uncommon, depending on how dark of a caramel malt you use, or how much of biscuit malt you use. We didn't put any biscuit malt in here, but the base malt should carry some biscuitiness too. There should be the English yeast. You're going to should maybe get a little bit of a fruitiness, and the hop aroma can be moderate to none for this beer, right? So, but those hops should be floral, somewhat earthy, maybe a bit of a resiny. But this has got that sort of English quasi-noble. So getting a lot of caramel sweetness off of this, certainly. Maybe even, you know, definitely some, you know, fruit, spicy fruit. I'm getting toast and caramel on this one. Yep. And this one I'm definitely getting more of a clean malt aroma and a clean, like, more biscuit thing with very little toast. And the hop aroma for both of these, to me, is low, moderate to none. Yeah. But I am getting on Damien's, I'm getting a little bit of a pickup of a yeast character, very slight estery fruitiness, which is pleasant. So I think that they're both in check, and as those guidelines stipulate, I think that they're both the style. It's nice.
So flavor is going to follow the same thing. You know, the hop present should be earthy. It should be resiny, maybe fruity. The ester quality, the fermentation characters, you're going to have a slightly sweeter ester, fruit-like driven character, but it shouldn't be like a fruit bomb. It's just a subtle thing. It's a very subtle thing. It's difficult to interpret the guidelines for your own palate that way. Some people can get carried away. The bitterness should be moderate to highly bitter, but I think you got to keep that in check with what these hops are, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you're dropping Magnum in there. You're doing EKG. So to me, even though it's medium to moderate, you got to keep it in check with what kind of hop you're actually using. Again, the malt profile should be toasty. It should be biscuity. It should be bready. The balance should be more bitter than it should be malty. This is, after all, a best bitter. It should be very easy to drink. There should be no diacetyl, although you can have a little bit. I mean, they always say that in the guidelines.
Sure.
Well,
I think that certainly the bitterness is in Dustin's. I'm picking that up from just the aftertaste. It's got a nice,
really well-rounded.
Yeah.
The malt and the hop bitterness in here is really well balanced.
Yeah.
And to me, the finish, there's that good earthy EKG finish.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well done, Dustin.
Yep.
This one, man, the aroma still gives me a little bit of that ester.
Yep. It's a little lighter. Do we talk about mouthfeel? That's later. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll leave it. For
this
that.
one, with the addition of the flake maize in here, there's still a good pale malt character, but it is lighter, and it certainly is crisper. It's cleaned itself up, like the crispness there. I mean, I think that the flake maize is a great idea, and I know historically some of these English malts, they use some of these adjuncts, right? I would maybe, with this recipe, kick in a little biscuit malt, just to make up for the loss of character from the pale ale malt, although it's a small percentage of flake maize, but keeping it light and crisp with the flake maize, I love it. Just for me and my palate, English, I just want a little bit more biscuit punch.
Sure.
Maybe that means using a slightly darker crystal in combination with the flake maize, right? Cool. And then the mouthfeel, these things should have a medium to light body, fairly crisp in the finish, and the carbonation obviously should be medium to low.
Yep.
I think both of these do that. They both have great body. Obviously, Damien's is a slightly less body.
Yep.
Nice crisper finish. This one just kind of sort of holds on to you and envelops you through the whole experience.
Gives you a big hug. It's a wonderful thing.
Exactly. I mean, I think this is a glorious beer to drink. Think about the greater complexities in life. This beer is going to be more of a distance drinker, right? You're going to sit down and have maybe one more of these than you would these. If you're, I'd have 8 of these and I'd have 9 of those. Not in the same sitting. That's how I rate beer. That's how many?
Maybe 2 and then 3.
Okay, all right.
8 or 9.
So then overall,
that's a bad thing.
Then the last thing that we put on our sheet, which
overall impression.
Overall impression.
And so, what does that say?
I mean,
flavorful yet refreshing beer. Is that what it says? I'm right.
It does. What do you know? A session beer. I mean, best bitter is right in the middle of the English bitters category. So for me, I think for us in the Brew Dudes in this community brew, I'm okay with introducing a little bit of personal bias into this part because we're not hardcore doing BJC but judging here. For me, I want a beer like this to be super drinkable. I want it to show me biscuit, bready, pale ale malt character. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I want it supported by EKG hop flavor. I mean, that's what I want. And I think both of these beers do it. I do enjoy in Damien's the crisp finish, the clean finish with the flaked maize in there, and that is somewhat traditional. This beer I think hits more of my bias towards what I expect out of the style.
That's what I was going to say.
But I think they're both very fun, good beers to drink. It makes me very happy that we got these 2 beers.
Me too. I mean, the Dustin's makes me remember, sitting at a bar in a pub in London and, like you said, reflecting upon life. And this one is a good drinker too. This
is a conversation beer.
Yeah.
This is a reflection beer.
You betcha. Yeah, this is one that I'm probably going to talk to more people. This one I'm talking to myself.
Yeah.
There you go.
2 great beers.
Yeah, I like it.
Subtly different. Similar, but subtly different in a way that really helps you think about the style. And that's the point. I mean, I hope everybody's getting different beers
Yep.
and they can taste them against their own beer, and you can start to really pick apart their style. It's one thing to just get an example of the style, read the BJCP guideline, and drink it and go, okay, yeah, right. But it's not until you do a couple side by side, especially if you do a competition, you might be doing like 5 of these,
right,
that you really begin to understand the style better.
Got it. Okay, so that's us kind of trying to wrap it up with people who sent us beer. Now it's time for everybody in the community. I know that we sent out this evaluation form. Send that back, fill it out, and send it back to us. It'd be nice to see, from our perspective, the people who actually set up the Community Brew, to get more notes back, because I think we're doing like one last video on that. Love to get just more feedback, and then put a nice little bow on this whole experience, because we had fun putting it together. And if this, you know, if everyone else did, then I know there was some people who emailed like after the fact and said, hey, I wanted to be a part of it, but I didn't get my act together. And I even send people beers, you know, because of that, just, you know, just to make sure that they felt, you know, they were a part of this, and then next time we do this, they can, you know, they can contribute. So please email us. You have our email address, the evaluation form. Comment below, and you know, and let us know if, you know, there are some things that you'd like us to do better the next time in terms of Community Brew. Totally open to any kind of insights or feedback on that. Just so, because if we do this once a year, then, you know, we'd like to do it better if we can. So that's that. All right, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please click that thumbs up icon and subscribe to our channel. We try to do this every week. We have been doing it every week. And, you know, if you subscribe, you'll see more videos like this where we're tasting beers and hopefully brewing more beers, and, you know, doing equipment reviews, and hoping to help you become a better home brewer yourself. So that's it. For John and Mike, brew-dudes.com. Brew on.
Cheers.
Cheers.